most car dealerships miss 20 to 40% of inbound calls. And as you know, missed calls equals missed opportunities. It's about 900 calls missed a year. So let's say you just converted only 50%. Now at just 40% gross margin, that's about 54,000 euros in gross profit loss. In this video where I can show you from taking your pickup rate from 70% to 98%. But before we get started, my name is Moyed Salabi, the owner of the tech company Revline AI, where we help dealerships first and foremost save costs, make their processes more efficient using AI, and increasing their revenue and profit margins within their dealership. So in this video, first and foremost, we're going to be speaking about how we are going to stop missing these calls by implementing certain specific AI systems and automations. You see, a lot of these dealerships and a lot of businesses in general in 2025 are just rummaging around trying to implement AI in any way possible. And you see, just implementing AI randomly isn't going to work. You need to first and foremost understand why you're implementing AI in that way. And is it doing two things? Is it making things more efficient for you? Is it increasing your profit? Is it saving you time? You need to ask yourself these questions. If it's not doing any of that, then the implementation of AI is useless. Well, today I'm going to show you one of the best implementations of AI specifically in car dealerships, and an implementation that we've seen has increased revenues of dealerships by millions and millions of dollars, but also saving them a massive amount of energy and time in lead management and communications. So as you know, if you stop missing calls, you essentially stop missing money. I mean, at the end of the day, every single call that comes in on the phone is an opportunity, and an opportunity is going to equal money. So if you stop missing calls, you're going to, of course, increase the revenue and the cash flow that comes in to the business. So why are calls important? Well, as you know, calls are a lifeline of a business, more so for dealerships. Dealerships book most test drives through the phone. Servicing appointments, calls are coming in inbound. They're looking for servicing options, right? So calls are very important for that. Calls are much faster way of conversion. It's the best medium to convert, right? In fact, phone leads convert 10 to 15x higher than web form leads, for example. And of course, calls are the best customer experience, right? It has the biggest customer experience impact. I mean, nobody leaves voicemails anymore. And if a call goes unanswered, the customer moves on to the next dealership. But the problem is 20 to 30% of calls are missed and they go down the drain. And here's the problem with that. Even when they're missed, there's no follow-ups really happening. And if it does, one or two follow-ups might happen, but there's no persistence. And in the sales game, persistence is incredibly important. In fact, most cash collected from incredibly profitable companies comes from follow-ups. It never comes from the first touch point, right? But that's for a separate video. First and foremost, we're going to focus on the first touch point, which is important, just actually picking up that phone, right? So let's take a look at why calls get missed in dealerships. There's a plethora of reasons of why that happens. For example, there's peak time overloads, right? The phone rings a lot of time during lunch, early morning, or when staff are just busy dealing with customers that have come in through the doors. And they get missed, of course, on after hours and weekends. Think of it, like most of the time I've ever looked at when I was like trying to get a new car, it was never during work hours. I wasn't trying to look at a new car at 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. when I'm actually busy getting things done. I'm looking at cars at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. when I'm lying down on the couch. That's when I'm looking at cars. That's the time when I'm most likely wanting to reach out, try to book a test drive. And you want to be able to catch them on an impulse. You need to catch leads on an impulse, right? When they're hot. And that's a basic concept, of course, of sellers and sales psychology, right? So you want to be able to catch them on the time that they are hot. And the best way to do that is allowing them to show their intent right at the peak of their impulse, right? So the best way is, of course, being able to capture after hours and the weekends when most people are actually looking. And then, of course, there's service drive. Chaos, right? You've got, like, for example, the service advisors, they're juggling the check-ins, the walk-ins, the paperwork, and the phone sometimes when it rings, it just simply has to be ignored because they're very busy. As well as that, you got BDCs, which are understaffed. Not every dealer has a full BDC team, and even if they do, it's often too small to cover every incoming call. You've got, of course, employee turnovers, trainings and training gaps. It takes a long time and it's very, very difficult. Then you've also got these call routing systems where a lot of the time they take so long, first and foremost, and with the current way, consumers have a much lower attention span and they're more impatient than ever. So these call routing systems, right, are incredibly annoying. You can take it from somebody that has dealt with that in, for example, public services, right? I'm trying to find out where my packages are, trying to book in certain meetings, trying to book in appointments. These call routines are just, they're too long. And a lot of the time you have a massive bounce rate because the client ends up giving up, going to another dealership with, of course, a much easier system. And then, of course, you have human errors, you've got competing priorities, right? And you've got the lack of accountability. Funny part is most dealerships don't even track their missed calls rate, right? So let's just give you a basic example. Let's say the annual turnover on your service department is about €1 million, and your average profit margins, this is the average standard profit margin in dealerships. Of course, it can vary, but it's usually about the 40 to 50% rate on servicing and parts, right? So let's just say the average service repair order is 250 to €500, and the industry stats is that you have about 20 to 40% of inbound calls are missed. So let's say you have about very conservative, just 10 inbound calls for service or parts every single day, which equates to about 3,000 calls every single year. Now, let's say you miss about 30% on average of the calls that come in. That's about 900 calls missed a year. If half of those, let's say you just converted only 50% of those into real revenue opportunities, that would be 450 calls. And let's go the average servicing, right? The average job is going to be around €300, which is €135 in revenue lost. Now, at just 40% gross margin. Once again, we're very conservative here with all the numbers that we're going through. That's about €54,000 in gross profit lost. It's insane. You see, funnily enough, here's a story. I was literally speaking to a mobile tinting company recently, right? And it's a one-man team, or it's a six-figure business. He does six figures in profit every single year, so he does fairly well for himself. But we were speaking, and he told me that I only miss about like 2 calls a day. It's nothing much. But when we sat down, we broke down the numbers, right? We broke down the numbers, and we found out that he's missing 20%. He gets around the average of 10 calls a day, and he's missing 2 of them, right? Because obviously he's doing the tinting, he's taking breaks, etc. Here's the thing: it's 20%. 20%. When we averaged out the numbers, right, it was €6,000 he was missing every single month in pure profit. He was missing out around €6,000 in pure profit every single month. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but once again, it's just a relativity game at scale that is massive, right? So for a bigger company, that is huge. So that just puts it into perspective. And here's the funny part: he told me that he knew that client that rang him, that missed him. He told me a story, and that client actually ended up going to another company. That's what consumers do these days. They find a company on Google, they ring you up. If you don't answer, they're moving on to the next one. And it's a game of whoever picks the phone first. It's as simple as that. If all other variables are equal and all the reviews look similar and the services are similar, then it's going to be about who is able to close that deal faster. And whoever's going to be able to close a deal faster is the one that has 24/7 communication methods, right? So what's the solution? Well, the solution to it is fairly simple. It's by implementing a 24/7 AI receptionist. And the one we, of course, have is called Porsche. And the beautiful thing about the 24/7 AI receptionist is that it picks up calls 24/7, even at 12 a.m. We've had dealerships where they've gotten bookings like random times, like 3 a.m. And they wake up in the morning, now they know that they have test drives. That wouldn't be possible because there's no employee that's working at 3 a.m. for a dealership. No employee. But with an AI receptionist, that is possible. Also handles call overflows, right? There's certain times where at peak hours, call overflows happen. Whereas with an AI, it doesn't matter. You don't need multiple different employees. You just need one AI receptionist and it can handle multiple calls at a single time. There's no limit to it. That's the beautiful thing. And a lot of people don't realize that these AI receptionists are actually pretty human-like and they are pretty smart. And they also have context. So depending on how deep or how advanced you want your AI receptionist to be, it can be to the point that it understands that, oh, this customer has rang in before, looking for a blue Range Rover 2017 model, SVR, whatever, like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. So I'll have the context. So when they ring in again, it'll understand, okay, this customer has rang in about that before. So maybe it will try and present them on the red one. A new red one came in and it'll try to present that one, try to book him on a deal. So it has context and it's incredibly, incredibly smart. And it automatically books the appointments, right? And it can automatically integrate to whatever system that you're using, whichever CRM that you're using to handle your leads, it can integrate into that. So it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. A lot of people think that these AI receptionists are just basic, like those routing robots, right? They're terrible. In fact, I'm going to show you now an example of one. So here I'm going to show you how they actually sound. It's really incredible. This is a demo we built for Kyle Moore Cars up in Dublin.
Thanks for calling Kyle Moore Cars. This is Paul, your car consultant. What type of vehicle are you interested in?
Hi, how's it going? I'm looking at the blue Range Rover on your website.
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. It sounds like you're interested in the Blue Range Rover. Just to clarify, are you looking at the 2024 Land Rover Range Rover Evoque? What brings you in today? Are you looking for something specific or just exploring your options?
Yeah, I am looking at the 2024 Range Rover Evoque, yeah.
Uh-huh. Got it. The 2024 Land Rover Range Rover Evoque is a fantastic choice. It's a stylish SUV with great features. Can I ask, will this vehicle mainly be for city driving, family use, or a mix of both? And do you have a budget in mind?
Yeah, it'll be a mix of both, and I don't really have a budget in mind.
That makes sense. The Evoque is perfect for both city driving and family outings. Since you're open on budget, I can share that the 2024 Range Rover Evoque is priced at €55,950, with monthly payments starting from around €1,040. How soon are you looking to make a decision on your new vehicle? Are you ready to test drive it today or sometime soon?
Could I test drive it maybe tomorrow at 7?
Absolutely. I can definitely help you with that. Just to confirm, you'd like to book a test drive for the 2024 Land Rover Range Rover Evoque tomorrow at 7 p.m. Is that correct?
Yep.
Also, could I have your name and a contact number to finalize the appointment?
Yeah, no worries. My name is Moyad, and my phone number is 089.
Thank you, Moyad. Just to confirm, your phone number is 08.
And we're just going to leave it at that. And it's going to end up booking you in straight away, and it's going to send it into the CRM. And now here's the coolest part about this. What we can do is we can implement an AI system on top to be able to assess that call and to be able to score that call depending on how hot that individual sounded. And what can happen is now that a notification gets sent straight away to the actual human sales to the actual human salesman or saleswoman that is currently available, and they can then give them a follow-up call, for example, a couple hours later or whatever, depending on how warm that lead sounded. They can close it, because at the end of the day, once again, the best closes are, of course, going to be human. There will be a point where these will sound absolutely human. They'll be able to do absolutely everything. But to start with, it is incredibly, incredibly powerful. First and foremost, that's able to reduce the workload and helps you filter out the leads that aren't as good, so that the humans can deal with the best of the best leads. And that way you're maximizing and optimizing essentially your workload as best as possible, right? So if you are interested in us just building you a free demo, something like this, we've done that for Kyle Moore Cars. We can do it for your dealership. All you have to do is just simply go down to the description, click the first link. It'll book you in on a call, pick a time, and I will hop on a call with you, and we'll make sure that we have a demo built in for you. We can give you a free consultation on your dealership, and we can try to find out where are the areas and aspects within your dealership that we can automate that will save you more time, make you more money. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Take care.